Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big problem in World of Tanks console right now. It's huge. I don't know what Wargaming is doing, but it's not good. They have promised for this big update that's going to change crew skills and change equipment, and it looks good. It does, and I'm excited about it because 6.0 accuracy and DPM is too much for the game. And so this is a good thing that's coming. However, that is one step forward. They have, between the last update, which had all the balance changes, and this next update that hasn't come yet, they've taken one step forward with the update and 100 steps backwards. They don't know how to do something good and then ride that momentum. They don't know. They're like, okay, now let's shoot ourselves in the feet. And so let's jump into what is such a huge problem. Well, we just released a video. 7 toxic tanks in World of Tanks. 7 more toxic tanks in World of Tanks. And we talked about the Senjutsu, we talked about the Bourrasque, we talked about the SFAC, all those tanks which I think can be quite toxic. Especially the SFAC, especially Senjutsu, and especially the Bourrasque in the hands of a good player. So I talked about those tanks. And what does Wargaming do? Now this isn't because of my video, but it does show that they recognize these tanks as being toxic. They take the Senjutsu, which is a tier 9. This is basically the unnerfed T-54. Back at more like the unnerfed T-55, I think, because it's got the 100 millimeters of hull armor. So they take the unnerfed T-55, which the T-50, or unbuffed, the T-55 is a tier 9 in the game, but they buffed it recently. They gave it more penetration, and they gave it more health, or it has more health because it's tier 9. But basically, they took that, moved it down a tier, and removed some of its health. That's what they did. So you're playing in a tier 9. A pre-buffed tier 9. So that's basically 8.7. And they gave it a flamethrower. So yeah, it's a tier 9. And they gave it to players that can play against tier 6. That's the tier they put it in. They put it in tier 8. You can fight tier 6s with a tier 9. It's disgusting what this tank can do. And the flamethrower cuts everyone's DPM in half when you're brawling with it. And what is a Russian medium's best thing it can ever do? Brawl. Get close. Never get close to a Russian medium. That's what I always say. Now they've given a Russian medium a flamethrower. And they moved it down a tier. What? And so it's obviously toxic. And I know Wargaming knows this because they re-released it. Nerfed. And by that I mean they moved it up to tier 9. They re-released it at tier 9. Why would you not? If you think it's balanced, why wouldn't you re-release it at the same tier? It's a reskin. You've done this all the time. It's a reskin. Just copy, paste, sell. Done. But they didn't do that because they know it's overtuned. But you're not fixing it. If you're re-releasing it and selling it again, you're not fixing the problem because the Senjutsu still exists. So you recognize the problem, but rather than fix it, you're like, ooh, shiny new toy. Get distracted by this instead. And look, it's actually balanced at tier 9. Yeah, but this one's not. So they know the problem. They know. That's evidence. That's proof there that they know. But selling it at a new tier does one of two things. First of all, it exemplifies the fact that they understand that this should have been tier 9. But they're not going to fix it. Secondly, because it's a reskin, it costs nothing to re-release. You just remove the paint that you have on there. That's just an undo button. And then you sell it. And so then third thing, so there are 3 things, is you also get to jack up the price because it's tier 9. So instead of selling it for 10,000 gold, they're selling it for 14,000. All right, well, that's just one time, right? Yes, that was last week. You're right, that was last week. We're on a new week. This is this week. They did it again. They did it again. Very next week, they did it again. The Bourrasque, which is played very well by good players. And if you go watch my most recent video in the Black Diamond, watch the last replay, I pull out the Bourrasque. And it kind of just shows you what you can do in this tank. It's very overtuned when in the hands of a good player. And you're like, oh, Clone, a tank in the hands of a good player, any tank in the hands of a good player is good. Correct, but this is way too good. You could put this at tier 9, and I would not bat an eye. All right? I think it's fine where it's at because it's played horribly by bad players. Because it's a hard tank to play. But once you figure it out, it's incredibly good. Kind of like the FE2 and 5B. It is hard to play. But once you figure it out, it destroys. All right? So they recognize that it's overtuned, especially among good players. And so they re-release it with a single shot. The problem with the Bourrasque, what makes it so good, is the double shot. It's the fact that in 2 seconds you can put out 720 damage. That can kill tier 6s. That cuts in half the health of tier 8s. And in some cases knocks them down to 1 shot if they're tank destroyers and light tanks. And it devastates tier 10s. Huge chunks out of tier 10s. And it's a tier 8. Sneaky. Medium tank. That acts more like a light tank. But the gun acts like a tank destroyer. Okay? So that's the Bourrasque. And so how I know they recognize the fact that that is toxic is because this tank is a single shot. They know it's overtuned. Hence why they removed the autoloader. But they didn't stop there. They gave it 320 health instead of 360. This tank, in all aspects, is balanced. In the same way, the T-55 is balanced. But it shows that they know certain tanks are overtuned, and instead of addressing those tanks, they've given us, they're like, hey, look at that. This would be balanced, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, you can buy it, but the other tank still exists. So why should you buy it? You shouldn't. It's worthless. It's worthless. And here's the catch. Same thing. 7,600 gold. Black Diamond. 8,500. It's more expensive. You're spending more money on a crappier tank. Hey, you want the balanced tank? You want to not be toxic? Here you go. Spend more money. What? It's blowing my mind. They recognize how toxic it is. So they've re-released it in a non-toxic state. And are telling you to buy it again and jacking up the price. And it is a Bourrasque. It's copy, paste, add black skin. Done. It's minimal effort to release this tank. Now, what I would do to the Bourrasque to tune it down, very simple. And some of you might actually like this idea. I would buff. What? You said you'd tune it down. I know. I would buff the penetration, the standard pen from 190 to 200. Okay, encourage more use of standard rounds. And I would change the premium rounds from APCR to heat. Slower, okay? Slower shell velocity, might hit some debris, hit some tracks, awkward angles, and ricochets, or doesn't penetrate. And so now it's more tactical. That's what I would do. That's it. It's still just as capable, but you have to add more thought. And you might have the wrong magazine loaded at some point. Because right now, you'll never have the wrong magazine loaded because you just keep these loaded. They're both APCR, the standard and the premium. So why would you sacrifice 50 millimeters of penetration? Right? So that's what I would do. And so, okay, Wargaming have recognized that these tanks are overtuned. And 2 weeks in a row, they've re-released them. So what are we going to get next? A single shot SFAC? A tier 9 ELC even 90? A tier 10 Panzerjäger? Like, what are they gonna release next, knowing that these tanks are quote-unquote toxic? Quote, toxic, unquote, right? They know these tanks are toxic, and they're re-releasing them, reselling them. Yes, I know you can get the Black Diamond for free from the chests. I know that. Which, by the way, another gripe I have, they have this pirate theme. Does this look pirate-themed? It's lazy. It's so lazy. What are they doing that they're releasing reskins? And don't even touch the chest that should look pirate themed. It should. If they're going pirate themed, why isn't it pirate themed? But let's go back now to many years when they released the King Dragon. The King Dragon was the flag tank of China. Every nation had a flag tank. You had the Knight for Great Britain, which was a reskin Cromwell or Cromwell B. You had the Freedom, which was a reskin Super Pershing for America. You had the Liberté, which is a reskinned FCM 50 ton for France. Then you had the King Dragon's Type 59. It's a reskin Type 59, right? Kind of. Same hull, same turret, but they gave it a 105. So it was actually different. It was different, and they took away pref matchmaking because of the gun. I thought that was cool. Then no more than a couple months later, they re-released it as the Type 59 too. Why? Because this tank sold so well. It did. This tank sold so well. They were everywhere. People loved them. They were great. They were fun. 390 Alpha at the time at tier 8 was amazing on a medium tank. It was so much fun. The pen wasn't very good. And the gun handling wasn't very good. But it was a fun tank. So what'd they do? They just re-released it. It's got worse engine power. Worse... Everything about the tank is worse. Worse rate of fire. It's got slightly better aim time and accuracy, I think. Yeah, 0.34 accuracy, 2.3 seconds aim time, while the King Dragon is 0.36 accuracy. And oh, actually has better aim time. So the only thing that the Type 59-2 has is better accuracy, standing still. That's it. Otherwise, the King Dragon was better. And so they re-released the tank, but made it worse. Even though, in my opinion, the King Dragon was already balanced where it was. And so this was a long time ago. All right, I had a big problem with this, and I would never play the Type 59 too because it's a blatant reskin. Blatant, whoa, this tank sold so well. Let's see if we can sell even more by reskinning it and selling it again. And it was right after they had already released the King Dragon. And so that is my big problem with the Type 59 too, why I don't play it. But that's what these are. These are blatant spits in our faces. Oh, this tank is way too good. You're right. Here's another one. But we'll move it up a tier. What? Fix the one that's there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's a cash grab. And the brick. We're going over to the brick. This is probably the lowest of the low that they've done. Or used to be. Because I think this is lower. I really think this is lower. The brick was released. It used to be 15,500 gold. It was the most expensive tank ever released at the time. Okay? 15,500 gold. For a premium tank. It had better be good. And the trailer that they had told you about its amazing armor and its unstoppableness because of the brick spaced armor and how good it was. And the stats, if you went online to look at it on the page, said it had 7 degrees of gun depression, right? And it had all like 190 millimeters of turret armor. It did not. It had 150 millimeters of turret armor. And it had 5.5 degrees of gun depression only over the side. It didn't have 7. What? And so if you bought this tank, it was false advertising. And the armor is actually worse because what they didn't tell you was the fact that these bricks are 5 millimeters. 5 millimeters means anything 15 millimeters in caliber, which is every tank you could ever fight. Hitting this will have a complete overmatch. A complete overmatch means your shell is normalizing, or the shell that's hitting you is normalizing by 3 times. So AP hits, it normalizes 5 degrees. If it partially overmatches, it normalizes by 10. If it fully overmatches, it normalizes by 15. So 15 degrees of normalization is hitting your tank every single time. And they finally did buff it, but they only gave it from 4.5 degrees to 5.2. 5.2 degrees of gun depression. Not the 7 they said it had. And they finally gave it 190 turret armor. It had 150. It was the IS-6 turret. And they forgot to buff it. But they did. It's 190 now. But it was 150. and it had plus 2 degrees of gun depression over the front. I don't know if they fixed that on some places. But then they did fix it, and then it had 0 over the front. And I don't know what it is now. Because I don't have it. I sold it. But this was the most expensive tank they had ever released and the worst selling tank they had ever sold in the game. They blamed me for that because of my video, and I wasn't the only one who telling people not to buy it because it was a crappy tank. There were plenty of other people, but I'm the one who got chosen and got kicked from CC over it. And that's fine. That's fine. I get it. That seems to be happening. That happened to Yuxin, Kaizu, and Sir Fosh, plenty of others. But, gosh. I mean, that's basically what I really wanted to talk about. You've got these updates coming. Oh, one other thing, right? So they emphasized transparency. And 2 months ago they did. They had a very transparent live stream. Very transparent live stream. Then what happened? What happened since? Nothing. They haven't been telling us anything. They've disappeared. They've gone dark. They've stopped telling us things. This came out of nowhere. This came out of nowhere. They're not telling us things. They've like, look how transparent we are, guys. Look at this. Look at us, praise us, woo! Then they disappear, gone. When's the update supposed to be? I don't know. They said August, and then they said September, and now they're saying sometime in fall. They're not telling us what they're doing. They're obviously instead wasting their time on releasing reskins and not fixing things. And now, last but not least, I want to talk about the matchmaking. Holy moly, if you're a good player, you're getting screwed by matchmaking. It's so bad for you right now. And that's because instead of putting a good player on the enemy team to fight you, which sometimes they do if they can find a player, they're instead giving you all the bad players. And I've had today countless games. I say countless, not countless. I've had 3 games where I'm doing tons of damage and my team is just not doing anything. I literally, in my T30, did 7,100 damage, and the rest of my team combined did 5,100. They didn't get any kills. I killed everyone. We lost, or I killed the only people that were there. But I did more damage than the rest of my team combined. How? And then the game in the Bourrasque, if you watched my video earlier, where I pull it out at the end of the Black Diamond review, did you see how much damage we did and we still lost? Those are the teams you're getting if you're a good player. Now, some good players are like, yes, that's right, that's right. Well, calm down, calm down. It's not happening to those who are platooning, because you're in a platoon, okay? If you are platooning as a good player, you're doing just fine, because you don't have to worry about that, because you are surrounded by good players, okay? And if you're playing good tier 10s, you don't have to worry too much about that. But if you're playing solo and you're playing tier 8, or you're playing average tanks at tier 10, you are getting screwed over because of platoons of good players, because good players are playing good tanks, and because bad players are being shoved onto your team. Ugh. It's horrible. There shouldn't be skill-based matchmaking in a game like this. This isn't competitive play. We're not going for ranks. Why is there skill-based matchmaking in a game that's dead? What are you thinking? The game should be different each time. There should be something unique each time. Let the game be random. Let the players be random. Let the tanks be random. Let the game be something different every time. Oh, my team has 3 tank destroyers. Theirs has 7. But we have more mediums, so we can make an aggressive play. That's cool. That's fun. I like that. But instead, they have to mirror-based matchmaking. And mirror-based matchmaking makes it so that certain tanks underperform very significantly. The Canonian Jagdpanzer, for instance, with the 240 alpha damage at tier 8. It's 240 on a tank destroyer and has no armor. It has the lowest win rate at tier 8 because of its alpha damage. Because it has no armor. It has nothing going for it except camouflage. You have to be a good player to make it work. It has the lowest win rate. And that's because it always gets matched against another tank destroyer at the same tier. Always. So you're always, whenever you play it, fighting a counterpart who has more alpha than you, and has more armor than you, and has more health than you. Always. Every time. But back when it didn't have mirror-based matchmaking, that tank could go up against a medium tank. It could go up against another light tank. It could be another light tank. Now it can't be. Because you have to outperform the other tank destroyer. And more often than not, you are not going to. Grom fires once. You have to fire 3 times. Grom bounces Death Star off of Upper Hull. You get deleted by an autoloader with firing HE because he's an idiot. Like, that's the difference. Oof. So yeah, we have a big problem. We've taken many steps back, 1 step forward with the stream and update, 17, 18, 20, 100 steps back since then. The matchmaking is crap. Okay? These tanks are crap. Wargaming trying to squeeze as much money out is crap, because that shows that they know their game is dying, because they're trying to squeeze out as much as possible. Guys, if they do not give you a product worth buying, do not buy it. Okay? The TO-55 is worthless. It is worthless because the Senjutsu exists. The Black Diamond is worthless because the Bourrasque exists. In the same way, the Type 59-2 is worthless because the King Dragon exists. And so these are things you have to consider and compare and understand. You don't need another Bourrasque in your garage. You already have one. You don't need this Bourrasque in your garage if you don't have the regular Bourrasque, because the regular Bourrasque will come on sale again. Save your money, get a Bourrasque, call it a day. Save your money, don't buy the TO-55. When the Senjutsu comes out, get a Senjutsu. I do not encourage anyone to play toxic tanks, but I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. But that's my video today. That's my rant. That's what I had to go through. I want to hold Wargaming accountable because this is ridiculous and this is scumbag. This is despicable what they're doing. And it might not seem like much to you, but if you actually get into what's going on behind the scenes and you understand it all, you realize that they are putting out minimal effort for maximum gains. They assume they deserve maximum gains. But whoever's doing the Wargaming stuff don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone. Peace.